So World Breastfeeding Week, which is the first week of August, and National Breastfeeding Month, which is the entire month of August, draw our attention to inequities in optimal infant feeding and the challenges that families experience. These celebrations offer an important time for communities to learn more so we can better promote, protect, and support breast and chest feeding. We all share the responsibility to ensure a welcome for breast chest feeding families in every aspect of community life, so that families are supported to meet their infant feeding goals. Today, we are doing just that by highlighting donor human milk. And our presenters today will talk about why and how to donate milk. You'll hear a personal story of the miracle of donor milk, and you'll hear about 2 local milk donation sites in Los Angeles County and their exciting upcoming donor milk collection events. So with that, I'd like now to introduce our first speaker. Pauline Sakamoto is an RN and MS. She is operations and regulatory consultant at Mother's Milk Bank in San Jose, California. So Pauline, take it away.
Thanks, Wendy. I want to wish everybody a really happy August month for breastfeeding. This is like big news. This year, we're really gonna do it big in August. The first week is obviously the breastfeeding week, and then we have the rest of the weeks in August, we have specialty groups that are celebrating breastfeeding. So I want to make sure that everybody, you're all welcome to join in the celebrations that are going on nationally and locally, okay? I thought I'd take the time, and I know my slides are really fast and furious, and I probably won't stay to it. I've been known to just, you know, kind of go off on a tangent sometime, but oh, someone can't hear it. Did you see that? Anyways, can everybody hear me? I guess so. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I want to do this presentation from donor to potential donors. 35 years ago, when I first started with the milk bank, I actually started as a donor to the milk bank. And it is something that I think all donors to the milk bank, we feel a real comradeship with everyone in that we feel good about voluntarily providing our excess milk and knowing that it's going to infants that need it. And for this area of Los Angeles, we have hospitals that are using the milk. We're hoping never, ever, ever to be low on milk so that some babies won't get access. So next slide, Sharon. So I'm going to make this real quick. You know, the history of milk banking is forever. It really started with wet nursing, but we've had case after case. I mean, this is how the human, you know, race really survived, actually, is by breastfeeding and sharing and whatnot. Next slide. So a lot of people say, well, Pauline, you know, are you there because if somebody doesn't want to breastfeed, you're there to help them out? And really, we're not in a place to replace lactation consultants and WIC, lactation folks and doulas. You know, our mantra, how we really work at the Mother's Milk Bank is that really we want the mothers and birthing persons to successfully breast or chest feed their infant. That's the #1 choice. And that goes unilaterally globally, whether it's WHO in third world countries or any of the industrialized countries. Mothers, birthing persons' milk is the first choice. The milk banks are here, the nonprofit milk banks are here, basically to help parents who maybe their milk supply is insufficient or not available because of breast cancer or foster care or adoption, or the mommy's is on meds. You know, we're here to help them out. And the term has always been, the milk banks bridge. We're bridging to help support the infant's nutrition while the mother is trying to get her milk supply up. The next slide, please. So our main goal in donor milk banking, particularly the nonprofit milk banks, is safety. And we do that in a variety of ways. Next slide. So in North America, actually, there are 31 nonprofit milk banks under HMBANA, and we follow the regulations from the FDA, CDC, Canadian Provincial Health Ministry, and particularly in the state of California, we actually are licensed as a tissue bank, just the same as if you were getting blood, bone banks, eye banks, sperm, egg banks. We're under the same guidelines, and we have to follow through with their standards. Next slide. So actually, you know, I've been with the milk bank for quite a while. So in 1990, we came out with the standards of practice for all the current milk banks. And it was a lot of work, but basically how, if you could think about it, how I can equate it to is we took the standards from blood banking and tissue banking, took the best food manufacturing guidelines through the FDA, and then looked at the current guidelines for medication use and breastfeeding, the current processing of human milk in regards to making the milk whole, while heating and treating the milk, and to make sure that the nutritional value is there for the babies that get it. Next slide. So how have we been doing this? Well, we're the oldest operating milk bank in the United States, actually. And last year we probably, the HMBANA sent out 7.5 million ounces. Of that, 7.5 California, the San Jose Mother's Milk Bank sent out about 150,000 ounces of milk, which is we're one of the biggies out of all the milk banks. And 80% of the pasteurized donor human milk was distributed to acute care facilities, but 20% went out to outpatient families. Next slide. So like I said, we sent out about 700,000 ounces. 60% went to hospitals and 40% went to outpatient. Our San Jose Mother's Milk Bank has a history of actually providing outpatient milk to families, which is quite unusual for some of the nonprofit milk banks. Next slide. So why do you want to donate milk, your excess milk? Well, let me tell you my experience. So one of the reasons why is, number one, you have excess milk and your freezers are filling up. And this time of the year in the summertime, you know, you may find that you go to Costco and you need your freezer and you've got all that milk and you know your baby's not going to take it, and the milk is maybe 3 weeks to a month old. That's a good reason for donating, because there are a lot of babies that need it. We know that there are NICU babies that are struggling to live, that need the milk. So you see this little cutie pie on the left, and her mommy's milk. I mean, obviously she's not hurting. She's growing just beautifully, and her mommy donated. And you could kind of see the picture on the right. This is a mommy who just lost her baby, and she had extra milk. And that's one of the great programs we have at the San Jose Mother's Milk Bank, is if the mommy loses her baby for whatever reason, we are there. We are there to make sure that something good comes out of a horrific situation. And I can tell you from being affiliated with the milk bank for so many years, you know, people say, well, why do you do that? We do that because it affirms that woman's ability to see herself as a mother. Even though that there was a demise, she is a mother, and she is part of our community of young mothers. And they all say, you know what, it just makes me feel good that I could help somebody else's baby. So it's really a powerful program. And I recommend all of you that if you know somebody who's in that situation, that we're here for them. Next slide. Here's some more donor stories. Again, this young couple, they lost their first baby, and the second baby, of course, it was the picture on the right. It did fine, and but she is one of our really strong supporters, as well as her husband, because they felt how important it was to have the donor milk available for all babies, because her first baby was in the NICU and she saw the demand, the need, and she donated her milk to us. And then she had this little munchkin, this little boy, and she still was still a donor. Next slide. So in Los Angeles County, we have 4 depots. Thanks.
How we can
What's that?
donor bank milk. Oh, they're gonna affiliate with the clinic Eisner. So they're gonna collaborate. So they're talking about the whole doing the history.
Okay. So we have 4 depots thanks to Kentech and Breastfeed LA. They collaborated with us, and we have 4 depots in LA County. We have Emanate, San Gabriel, Eisner, Antelope Valley, and Henry Mayo. And Los Angeles County is very lucky to have 4 depots in its vast county. So any mom can call us on our 800 number, and in lieu of waiting for us to send a cooler or whatever, they can call these depots and say, I've got a lot of milk I want to donate. And all 4 of these agencies have the wherewithal to send the milk up to us or keep it there. Okay. And we really appreciate them. And I'm sure Magda and Annette are going to talk about their special events coming this month. Next slide. So just to let you know that we serve many, many hospitals in LA County. We're probably up to about 25 hospitals. We're not sure how many hospitals total. And so Breastfeed LA is surveying all the hospitals in LA County to see what their use of donor milk is. And if you can get access to donor milk, if you need it while you're in the hospital delivering your baby. Next slide. Okay. So the real question is, got milk or got breast milk? So we need to find volunteer donors who are willing to help families and infants in need. And we need your help to tell the stories about why this milk is so important. And it's because in your community, you have babies in the NICU, you have babies in the pediatric units that need milk. It is not a choice for many of these infants. It's not a choice for formula. They do need the human milk. And for whatever reason, whether the birthing person is on, medications, whether it's legal or illegal, or that the mom is having to go to surgery. We have a lot of moms in California that go into surgery for breast cancer right after birth. It is so bizarre in California, but it's pretty high. The other thing is we have a lot of babies that are adopted or foster cared. And, the best thing is for them to get pasteurized donor human milk rather than formula. And we do have the kids that have surgery, have horrific problems in the preterm stage where they might get gangrene of the gut, and only human milk is the feed of choice. So we need help. And last year we had tremendous amount of help. A lot of moms during the pandemic stayed home. They pumped. We had to buy a bigger walk-in freezer because we had so much milk. Since March, that humongous supply of milk has dwindled down because the demand has gone up. So that's why we're in August, we're doing this big push to find volunteer donors. Next slide. So we're looking for healthy lactating people who voluntarily donate their excess expressed, raw, frozen milk and willing to complete the screening procedures. Next. Okay, what we screen for, just to let you know, we screen for, we'll ask about medications and herbal use. Some are okay, some may be a deferral period. Any disease transmission, the health of the mother and baby. And we ask for a small blood test. It's not that hard, it is free. And we have labs all over Los Angeles that you can go to that could do that really quickly. And once we get the milk, we'll bacteria test the milk and talk to you about storage and handling. And you know, we ask about international travel, surprisingly. But there are some issues about going to different countries. And of course, we ask about COVID now, and also any issues about current blood transfusions. Next slide, please. So we supply a free container, shipping instructions. The donors will be sent, you know, everything overnight express, you know, to us of their milk. It's overnight express. But we provide breast milk bags, free containers, shipping slips and all that kind of stuff. Next slide. So like I was saying, here's the free supplies. Next slide. So I'm not going to go into this, but just to let you know that your milk, raw, frozen, we will do what we know how to do, and that is to process that milk. So nutritionally, it's exactly the same as how you gave it to us. We heat treat it to a certain temperature called, we call it pasteurization. So it kills the bacteria. Sometimes it's pathogenic bacteria in the milk, but keeps the content of the milk, the live tissue, and the nutrition of the milk still intact. Next slide. And this is part of our laboratory. You see in the raw milk, you see a plate that has a lot of white dots. All raw milk has a lot of bacteria, good bacteria and some pathogenic. We do analyze the milk, so we could tell you what your milk looks like in regards to fat and protein. Next. And so to flip it, if you need donor milk, oh, I misspelled receive. If you need donor milk, do not hesitate. If you feel like your supply is low, do not hesitate and give us a call. Typically, we need a physician's prescription, but here's the secret. This last 6 months, we have instituted a program where a mother or a guardian can get 10 bottles of milk without a prescription. They would still need to pay for the service fee, but you could get it without a physician's prescription. Okay, and then of course we'll need the address, where to ship the milk, and if there's insurance coverage for the milk, we are going to go to bat to make sure it's covered for you. And so it's not that hard, but I want everybody to understand we are interested in increasing access to donor human milk. So it doesn't matter if you're a NICU baby or you're a mommy who's home for the first 48 hours and you're panicking, give us a call. Okay, next slide. And here are some of the diagnoses of why, you know, clinically that they use donor milk. These are typically what doctors will order it for. You'll notice delayed lactation is one of the reasons why doctors will order donor milk. foster adoption, allergies, sensitivities, failure to thrive. These are all the kids that we see all the time. Next slide. So yeah, just a picture just to see the kids that are getting it. And that's how we, we ship it overnight. So there you go. And this picture always drives me to do what I'm doing. And this mom was so panic stricken. She is a cancer survivor, but had to have her mastectomy right after birth and was told she couldn't breastfeed. And, she made us feel great that we were there, and want all the donor moms to understand this is the reason why we do what we do. Next slide. Okay, and these are, we can't do it without our donors and our supporters. We wouldn't survive. This picture of this young man next to me actually was our first recipient to the San Jose Mother's Milk Bank. He was a preterm infant who was failing to thrive. And last year, he had his first baby, his wife did, and it turned out to be a preemie and needed cardiac surgery. But it's full circle. These families are so appreciative of the milk being there that his wife, he dropped off his wife's milk. They wanted to give back. So that was a really cool story. Next slide. So I won't go into this because it's just way too much time, but some of the drawbacks. We want to say that donor human milk is a gift. We don't pay anybody for the milk. We're not, but we do, make sure that the milk is safe. We will contact the donor if the donor says, or if her milk supply is high in bacteria, we're going to call her back and say, you need help with your pump cleaning or whatever. So we love our donors. We absolutely cannot do what we do without them. And that's it. And hope that if I can answer any questions, I'll be glad to do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pauline. Wow. The work that you do at the milk bank is so important for our community, and you gave us such important and new information, some new information for me too. So thank you so much. If there are any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll address everything at the end. Next, I want to introduce Jessica Wade with Mighty Little Giants. And Jessica has provided us with a video of her story. And so she will be, so Sharon will be sharing the video. Oh, I am so sorry. Jessica, she is with us and she's going to be able to chat. So Jessica is a certified lactation education specialist. She's the founding president and CEO of Mighty Little Giants and a certified doula. So welcome, Jessica, and go ahead and share with us what you have to say. We're really excited to hear you.
Oh, thank you so much, Wendy. Well, hi, everyone. So my name is Jessica Wade, and I just really, first of all, I feel so honored to be in the room with you guys and just share what I feel about donor breast milk. And I want to share my birthing story and just let you know how it blessed me in so many ways. And so first of all, Mighty Little Giants is a nonprofit organization where we support families who have babies in the NICU. And that comes from my personal journey. When me and my husband found out we were expecting, we were super excited. We went to the doctor. They told us we were expecting our first child, but there was no heartbeat. So they wanted to do an emergency DNC. And that we decided to wait, came back to the doctor's office, and not only did they find one heartbeat, but they found two. So in that moment, I was just like, oh my goodness, we were so excited about our journey. One of the baby's heartbeat was extremely, extremely slow. So with that, we ended up miscarrying one of our sons. And in order to save the life of our other child, I was on hospital bed rest for 58 days. Our son, Marlon Jr., he was born at 27 weeks and 6 days, and he spent 143 days in the NICU. And so with this, our testimony, I don't take it lightly. I always say, you know, my son has pushed me into my purpose. But during that time, the 143 days in the NICU, I was just overwhelmed. So much was going on personally in the hospital. I just could not relax to get that amazing letdown to get this liquid gold to my baby. And I was given the option of formula and donor breast milk, and I selected donor breast milk. I truly feel like donor breast milk was one of the key components in saving our son's life and helping him to grow big and strong and just being what I couldn't, giving him something that I knew was like so rich and so amazing and so life-saving. Just because it didn't come from me didn't mean that he wasn't still getting the antibodies that he needed and just the medication that he needed. And so I just wanted to jump on and share our testimony. And, you know, with all the families that we support at Mighty Little Giants, we encourage donor breast milk. You know, liquid gold is liquid gold. And so we are just so grateful for it. And, you know, we support it, and I recommend it to all of our families because it truly, truly, truly was a huge component in saving our child's life. And now he's 7, you guys, and amazing tomorrow. So just pray for us. So yes, thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Beautiful story. And I think it makes a big, big difference when we hear how donor breast milk has actually touched the lives of our families. So thank you so much for sharing that. So now we want to share a little bit about the donor milk collection depots that we have here in LA County, at least a couple of them. And first, we're going to have Magdalena Estrada, who is an IBCLC and a certified childbirth educator. She is the director of perinatal education at Eisner Health in downtown Los Angeles. And Magda, tell us a little bit about Eisner Health LA Milk Depot and about your really exciting event coming up.
Absolutely, thank you. It is such a pleasure to be here celebrating World Breastfeeding Week. And these resources is such a great space. Eisner Health is a community health center dedicated to medical services in Los Angeles, but in also 3 other regions. And the prenatal care is included, midwifery care, pediatrics, and dental care as well. So we know that breastfeeding begins before the baby is born. And so one of our big health education resources is breastfeeding, chest feeding classes prenatally, but also breastfeeding support individually, both remotely and in person after the baby is born. And so Eisner Health became a milk depot in 2019 as the first milk depot in the city of Los Angeles. We're very, very happy for that opportunity to be a resource to the community, and we're affiliated to the San Jose Mother's Milk Bank. Essentially what that means is that Eisner Health is your community center to bring milk, donated milk. We support mothers providing information and connecting them to the San Jose Mother's Milk Bank to learn more about the process to become donors. And our hours of operation, we are open Monday to Saturday in downtown LA from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. However, for donations, it is important to give us a call, and so we can make arrangements. The lactation team is constantly helping new families with babies, both in person and remotely, and it is very important to make those arrangements ahead of time. The way you can reach out to us is by calling us at Eisner Health. The number has been provided, 213-747-5542, and our extension to the lactation services in downtown is 3359. We're also sharing the what we call the helpline with our wonderful lactation consultant. And so messages can be left for any questions, and of course, once she's available, she responds to any of the needs. Now, where are we? Where Eisner Health is right in downtown LA. So one of our purposes is to be a resource, right, to the community. And so being located in downtown LA help us to get to the community that may not be able to contact with the distance the actual milk bank. So we are your community resource, centrally located, just 10-minute walk from the Staples Center and about 1 block from California Hospital Medical Center. So that is in general the services. Now we're very excited. We're gonna have our second milk drive on Saturday, August 28th. And so that event is from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. You all are invited. Please share the information. And so we are going to be receiving donated frozen milk by donors. They have been screened already by the milk bank, but also if you know or you have milk in your freezer, we will be receiving the milk on the 28th. And even though you are not completely done through the process of screening, we can initiate that process that day. So tell your friends. You can share this information for anyone who has the freezer full right now with milk. We'll be very happy to receive that human milk that will serve a lot of babies. And so additionally, we'll be having also a bilingual information session Zoom event from 10 to 11 that morning. So 10 to 10:30 is going to be Spanish information, and 10:30 we're going to continue with the English presentation. And we're very excited. We're going to have one of our first donors in the clinic. So we'll be very happy to have her share her experience as well becoming a donor. I will be sharing in the chat the direct links to RSVP to the events. We're going to have raffles, and we do provide breast pumps and nursing bags and other items of support to help women that are collecting milk for their babies or that are also planning on becoming donors. This is just a way to assist on services that may be needed for those mothers. So feel free to share the information. RSVPing will help us obviously to know how many people will be participating and to have those items available. So I would like to say, do not throw away your milk, donate it. Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Magda. We're really excited about your milk collection event on August 28th. And Magda will put the information, the phone number and the contact for Eisner Health LA Breast Milk Depot in the chat so that all of you can access that. And there will be more information coming out specifically about this event on the 28th in the next few weeks. So you all will get that as well.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're going to move on, and I want to introduce to you Annette Benavides. And Annette is an MSN RN OB, and she is the perinatal clinical coordinator at Emanate Health, Queen of the Valley Hospital in West Covina. And Annette is going to tell us about their milk depot in the San Gabriel Valley and about their event that will be coming up shortly as well. So with that, Annette, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hi, hello everyone. This is just so amazing that you've all tuned in today to learn about milk donation and this fabulous gift that can be given to so many to benefit from. I am the coordinator here at the San Gabriel Valley Milk Depot, Emanate Health, Queen of the Valley, and I'm so honored to be able to play a part in providing that benefit to the community. Our depot is fairly new also, just like Magda said. Our depot was founded in the end of 2018, and we started receiving most of our donations in 2019. And so to date, we've had over 41,000 ounces come through our doors. So it's amazing, and it's such a satisfying thing to be a part of. And you all listening today will help to further those efforts by helping to raise the community awareness about milk donation and perhaps sharing the gift of donation yourself. Magda did a wonderful job of explaining what a milk depot is as opposed to what Pauline was describing as the milk bank. So the milk depot is the milk depots are the middleman. So we're connecting you with San Jose Mother's Milk to get the milk from one place to another, and to help you along that path as well. So donating here in San Gabriel Valley Milk Depot is very simple. We are open 24/7. We can also meet you in our circle drive that's in front of our building here, the Family Birth and Newborn Center. You don't even need to get out of your car. We'll come, if you just give us a call when you want to donate your milk after you've gone through the screening process, we will meet you in our circle drive. You don't need to get out of the car, which is especially helpful when you have little ones. So we try to make it as easy as possible. I will list the phone numbers and the contact information in the chat box so that you will have that. And we are also very excited to be hosting our first milk collection event in September. September 17th from 10 to 12 right here in West Covina in our front lawn. We will have gifts for everyone who attends, and we will have some raffle prizes as well. It would be best to be pre-screened and registered with Mother's Milk prior, and then any milk can be brought to the day of the donation. But you can also get pre-screened here on that day as well. Mother's Milk will have representatives here who can do the pre-screening on site. You don't need to RSVP for the milk collection event. Just come. We sure hope there's a good turnout. We're also excited that we are going to be bringing in milk, donor milk for our inpatients here in our NICU at Emanate Health Queen of the Valley. So that should be happening probably within the next 1 to 2 months. So not only are we facilitating the donations, but we're going to be able to offer that to our own babies in our intensive care unit here as well. So really appreciate you all tuning in today, and I hope to meet some of you. And as I said, I will put the phone numbers for the milk bank and the contact information in the chat box. So thank you all.
Thank you so much, Annette. This sounds really exciting. It's really good to know that Emanate Queen of the Valley Hospital will be starting to actually use the donor human milk coming up in the next few months. So again, it goes full circle. What we donate here up to San Jose Mother's Milk Bank comes back to our local mothers in this area here. So now we'll entertain a few questions. We did have one question in the chat about my baby is 8 months and am I still able to donate? And Pauline did answer in the chat. She says, absolutely. We have donors who are still expressing and breastfeeding beyond a year. Start storing extra milk and freezing it. So if you're still breastfeeding an older baby, yes, you're still able to donate milk if you would like to do that and help out the community. Are there any other questions? I didn't see anything else in the chat, but we're not a really large group. So at this point, I'd like to invite you to just unmute and ask your questions of our speakers.
Wendy, there's actually a question in the chat asking, is there a minimum or a maximum for the amount that can be accepted during any given event?
That's an excellent question. I'm going to let our speakers respond.
I responded with 100 ounces of milk and your journey of donation. And that is because, of course, there is some involvement of a need to process the shipment of the milk. 100 ounces, but they don't have to be, brought to the center, to the collection center altogether. So whatever, time you're able to collect 100 ounces will be great. There is no really a limit on the maximum. We had mothers donating large amounts, 600 ounces, or or more. So it really depends on what's the ability of each person to donate. Thank you.
Right, and I also wanted to say during this time, because we are really getting tight of milk, it is 100 ounces, and even if you see Magda or Annette and you only have 50 ounces, come and have fun, because they have a lot of prizes and everything else. And even if you have 50 ounces, just come. And if you still think you're going to express milk, you're going to get your 100 ounces right away. So don't worry about that. And really, the only reason why we say 100 ounces is because there is a small blood test and the shipping and whatnot. We have to pay for that. And that's how that 100 ounces limit got there. So by all means, come to the milk drives, because they're parties. I mean, I know these gals, they party up for these events. So it's a fun way of doing it. But if you can't make it, you can always call the 800 number that Magda put on there, and just call the milk bank directly. And we'll be more than happy to have you enroll. Thank you.
Thank you, Paulina and Magda.
I just want to add that there's no maximum, and just so everyone has a picture, it's just not a one-stop deal too. We had one donor here that donated for a year. So every time she would just come and drop off her milk, and we keep asking her, we need her to get pregnant again so we can have some more milk. So we have many donors that have just continually replenished our milk depot. So it's not just, doesn't need to be a one-time donation. And if you don't have milk now, that's okay.
Thank you, Annette. And if it is just a one-time donation, at previous milk collection events that I've attended, I've seen people come with a whole cooler full of milk. So if that's what you've got and that's what you want to donate, they will accept it for sure. So we have a few more questions in the chat. We have a question: what is the best way to store the milk? Do you need to write the time, or is date only okay?
Definitely put the date of expression on the bag. The best way to store milk, well, please don't put it in Ziploc bags. If you could get breast milk bags, that would be awesome. If that's a problem, you could just sign up with the milk bank and we'll ship you out some breast milk bags. The best is freezing it. As soon as you express it, if you could put it in the freezer, that's the absolute best, because it keeps the content of the milk so intact, so much more than if it's sitting on the counter space. So that would be the most absolute way of expressing milk.
Thank you. We have another question. How can we be sure that the milk will not convey diseases like HIV?
Oh, that's a great question. So my work continues with all the new diseases that we're seeing, particularly like the latest is COVID. So let me assure you that our donors we ask for a small blood test, and the laboratory service is free. So we test for HIV, HTLV, hepatitis, and RPR, which is syphilis. And then after the mom passes negative, we get her milk and she's negative for all those, we heat treat the milk. And the reason why we heat treat it, it's like a double whammy. We kill HIV if it's in the milk. We kill all other bacteria that are pathogenic to babies. So the milk, by the end of all the processing at the milk bank, I can assure you your milk is going to be very, very clean, up to standards, that will not make anybody ill.
Thank you so much, and good to know. So when you spread the word about donating milk, you can also assure people that the milk that is donated and then is given to these fragile babies, that milk is safe. So we have another question. How often do you need to donate, every week or month? And I think that was answered. It could be a one-time donation, or if you want to donate more frequently, you are always welcome to do so. And we have another question. Where do I get screened?
So the screening starts with a questionnaire, and if you go to the milk drives at Emanate or Eisner, they have the screening forms there. And it's just basically you fill out these questions about, your medical history, and if you're on medication, what kind, and all that kind of stuff. And then once we get that questionnaire and you've got some milk stored up, or you deliver the milk, we'll give you a lab slip to a Quest lab to get the lab work done. And again, it's free. You don't have to really make an appointment. You just find out the hours of operation, go in there, get it done. They know what to do. And we get the results within 48 hours. And we'll give the mommy a call saying, hey, you're all set. We're ready to use your milk. And we'll go from there.
All right, thank you. So another question is, can someone give a brief overview of milk pumping and storing at home? For instance, how often should we wash and sanitize our pumps? Do we need to clean our breasts before pumping? Just want to make sure I'm doing everything as safely as possible.
So Emery, those are good questions. And we do give a little bit of a brief educational slip. It's not really any different than what you're doing for your own child. It's basically keeping your pump phalanges clean, look for milk in the tubing. But we want you to clean the pump after every use, just like you would do normally. And then to sanitize your pumps, if you use hot soapy water and warm water, rinse and dry it, it should be fine. Some people like to pop it in the microwave or put it in boiling water for a minute just to sanitize it once a week. But if you keep it clean with hot soapy water and dry it with hot water, you're going to be fine. And to air dry it. You don't need to clean your breast before pumping unless you are using some kind of ointment on your breast. Like, for example, a lot of mommies like to use Lancino for chapped nipples and all that kind of stuff. So if you would, just wipe your breasts with clean water and then it's fine. That'll be fine. And then you can put yourself on the pump.
All right, thank you. Does that answer the question? Let's see. Yeah, so it is fairly easy, and as Pauline mentions, it's not really a lot different than what you would be doing for pumping for your own child. So thank you so much. The next question, I'll be coming from Long Beach with frozen milk. Should I be concerned about it remaining frozen for the trip? I wouldn't want to cause or to mishandle it.
Yeah, good question. Danielle, as long as your milk is frozen when you start out from Long Beach, that's great. I have to tell you from my experience. So just to let you in on a secret. So we get milk shipped from Hawaii and Nevada and all over. And it's surprising if you ship your frozen milk and you put one of those blue ice little packets, the kind that you find at all the grocery stores or hardware stores or the Targets or Walmart and whatnot, those blue ice, those solid blue ice that you would use, for your picnics anyway. If you put that in there with your frozen milk, it'll keep it cold for 6 hours. It'll keep it frozen. So my advice to you, Danielle, is with all your milk bags, find a large garbage bag, if you will. Get 2 of those large garbage bags, put all the frozen milk bags in that clean garbage bag and make it like a big old snowball. Just try to get as much air out of there, but just put it together like a big snowball, and then put the blue ice on top of it. It should keep it frozen for up to, at least 6 hours. And then if you have a picnic cooler, perfect, because we used to ship milk in those. Or a styrofoam cooler you can get for a couple bucks. That'll work too. So it should be fine, absolutely fine.
Good question, Danielle. And if you're coming from Long Beach to, let's say, Eisner, which is downtown, it really wouldn't take you that long anyway. So I think for the amount of time it would take to travel, your milk will be absolutely fine. And those were great suggestions, Pauline. I wanted to point out to everyone that Magda has put the breast pump cleaning instructions in the chat, so you can pick that up there. Jessica's asking, can we go to the bank events just to get screened? I don't have milk yet. And I think I can answer this one. Everyone is invited to these events. Come. Get the information, see where the locations are, and then I'm going to let Magda and Annette answer the question about getting screened.
Yeah, for the screening, you would want to ideally touch base with either the milk depots or directly with the mother's milk bank, and they can start that screening process ahead of time. That way, when it comes to the live events, you've already been screened, you have a donor number, and then we will have coolers on site where we'll be able to directly ship the milk to mother's milk bank. So ideally, that would be the best way. But if you want to come just to get more information and speak to one-on-one with any of us or any of the representatives from Mother's Milk Bank that will be here, that's perfectly fine too. So everyone is welcome.
Excellent.
Totally agree with that. So the first step is making that phone call for that screening over the phone. And then we will have the forms on site, so those can be completed as well for the screening. So that's what the screening means, that interview over the phone and then completing the forms. So we'll have those available to you the day of the milk drives.
Thank you. And I do have a question regarding the screening also. So if someone is initially screened and then continues to be a donor over time, would they be required to screen again in case something has changed with their health or medication status?
That's a good question. I'm sorry, Annette, I shouldn't say. We used to screen, we used to say, you need to get blood tested every 6 months. And I'll tell you something, our donor population is such that every time, it was a waste of money for the milk bank because our donors are such awesome people that their blood screening doesn't change. They're always negative. So here's what I'm going to tell you is that once you start the initial screening to become a milk donor, we don't ask you to do another blood test. But what we will do is when you get the cooler or when you go to the depot and drop off some milk, then we might ask you to fill out a questionnaire that says something to the effect of, have you had any diseases since we last talked to you? Or are you on any different medications? It's a real simple one pager that you fill out. And those are just the things we just want to know how you're doing physically and health wise, because if the medication changes or, right now, COVID is just, it's just amazing how many people are affected by COVID. So we just want to know how you're doing every time you donate. But once you get that blood test once, you don't need to get it again.
Excellent. Good to know. Well, we want to be mindful of people's time. We want to thank you all for coming today. We've had marvelous speakers who have given us such great information. We're excited about the 2 events coming up. We will be sending flyers out to everyone so that you'll get that information prior to those events. And we encourage everyone to come out and learn more about donor breast milk and how we can promote it in the community. I love the idea of the bumper sticker. And so maybe we'll have a creative person that can design something like that, and we can have them available even for our events. That would be very cool. So once again, thank you all. Thank you to our presenters, to our team. Thank you, Sharon, for your tech expertise. And we wish you all a good rest of your day.